Okay, good evening, everyone, and welcome to this special webinar put together by StartupSouth with partnership with Lotus Square. We would, I'd like to urge everyone to kindly, I want to urge everyone to please, first and foremost, do some basic check before this meeting starts. I need you to check your microphone, that your microphone is on. I can see that a couple of microphones are not properly set up. So you probably should check the mic icon. If you can hear me, check the mic icon and adjust your microphone. You can log out and log in back if you want. Okay. There's a chat room. You can go to the chat room and introduce yourself as you come on. If you can hear me, just simply type your name and perhaps what you do in the chat room. So the webinar simply is supposed to help us as creatives across different industry make sense of the recent CBN policy intervention. Recently, CBN approved for the AGSMEIS Fund to also become available for creatives in the ICT sector and in fashion, in movie, and in music. A lot of the communication for that is not very clear. One of the things I can see immediately is that as far as some hubs think that this is something that they can leverage, but it turns out that some students who want to learn how to code are the ones being targeted in the ICT component of this fund. So we've made effort to get a couple of implementing partners or banks who are CBN partners to come clarify a couple of things and also help us understand how their bank work and how they can how we can simply get access to the fund. So if you're just tuning in, we are doing introduction in the chat room. Simply introduce yourself and say what you do and perhaps talk about your company as well in the chat room. So some quick house rules, right? At some point in this webinar, we're going to have opportunity for people for question and answers, right? What is going to happen is there is a hand icon that Zoom provides. If you want to ask a question, I would expect you to raise your hand using that icon, and we would select and unmute your microphone so that you can ask your question. And when you ask your question, please be very brief and straight to the point. I'm sure a lot of you would have noticed that your mics were muted by default. Please do let your mic stay muted all through the webinar, except you intend to ask questions. Please do let your mic stay muted. Don't unmute your mic. So I have on here Onome is already on here. And Mercy Cage is already on. I'm sure that Mr. Mecca is going to join shortly. Okay. So the presentation starts at exactly 4:10. So we would have Onome present to us starting from 10 minutes after 4 till about 4:30. And then Messi would take over and present to us till 4:40. And we would have Mr. Mecca share some of his experience, and then we'll open the floor for questions. So I'd like to talk about, first and foremost, so I'd like to talk about StartupSouth, and then I will invite Aima Atagri to talk about Olotu Square. So essentially, StartupSouth is an entrepreneurship ecosystem development project that is focused on the South, South, Southeast. Our goal is to be able to help create the entrepreneurship ecosystem and get people to build great stuff that can create opportunity for everyone in the region. That's essentially what StartupSouth is. You can follow us on social media using the handle at StartupSouthNG, one word, just in case you're not already doing that. Aima, can you talk about Olotu in the next 2 minutes? Can you use the next 2 minutes to talk about Olotu Square and what Olotu Square does?
Thank you, Uche. Can everyone hear me?
Sure, go on. Just go on. Everybody hears you.
Okay, so my name is Aima Atigari. I'm CEO of Olotu Square. So Olotu Square is a tech innovation hub. We incubate startups, and we also develop softwares for businesses, basically. So if you have an idea that you want to validate or build a minimum viable product for, in Port Harcourt, Olotu Square is the place to go. And we also support the developers community, the startup community, and provide space for startups who are interested in sharing a co-working space in our offices.
Awesome. Awesome. Thank you. Thank you so much, Aima. And thank you to the Olotu Square for partnering with StartupSouth to make this happen. Is the stuff of the kind of community we want to be able to play in. So we look forward to partner with so many other people to do different things. By the way, our annual conference is coming up at Uyo in October. I like to take this opportunity to invite all of you. StartupSouth 5, October 29th to November 2nd. It's already it's already smelling like the biggest of all the conference already. Over 60 sessions covering different topics from people across Nigeria, different people in the ecosystem across Nigeria coming to host to talk about different things that they care about down here in New York. You can visit 5.startupsouth.org to see all the people coming and all the sessions that will be live at StartupSouth. All right. Without further waste of time, I would like to welcome Onome Umokoro. Onome is the MSME team lead for Sterling Bank, responsible for their creative industry play, and they are also very much very much in the theme that works around this project of CBN. So today, Onome is going to be sharing with us about this project, and what their bank expects from people generally. So please, because you can't clap, you're all muted, but you can just clap without unmuting your mic. I know you're clapping, so you can just go on and clap as we welcome Onome Umokoro. Onome, the stage is yours now.
Okay. Hi, everybody. Can you all hear me?
We can hear you. Just go on.
Great. Okay. So thank you very much for inviting us to this meeting. We're pleased to be here and to talk about the creative funding. As you all may know, you may have seen it already, the creative funding is basically CBN's way of helping the creative industry, and it speaks to about 4 to 5 sectors, which includes the fashion, music, movie production, and the IT software engineering space. This allows for us to give loans as low as 9%. It helps your business, it helps your cash flow, it helps your returns be higher. And also you can get up to 500 million naira, and the tenure ranges from 1 year to 10 years depending on the business and what you're financing. So for the basic requirements that apply to taking a loan also applies here, only that in this case, we're a bit more flexible. CBN has allowed us to be a bit more flexible. So on a normal day, if we were going to ask for a loan, a landed property for collateral, in this case, we can just ask for an equipment or a guarantee from an association you belong to, or a hub or a school that you are in if you're a student. And so it's easier and a lot less stringent and a lot more flexible to access. Also, you need a business plan. We definitely require a business plan for you to be able to access the loan. The business plan is supposed to specifically mention the things that you require to do in the business. So what exactly are you trying to achieve? Now, I know, for example, that in the movie industry, you could be a distributor, you could be the production person, you could be a director. There are several things you could be doing in the value chain of the movie industry. So we need your business plan that specifically says what it is that you're doing, what you intend to achieve, your target audience. If you're in the fashion industry, for example, are you selling luxury items or are you selling fast fashion? We need all those information and the details and your projections, your marketing plan to be able to properly access the business and the viability of the business. Finally, what you need, and the most important thing, is that you need a bank, because you cannot access the loan without a bank. And we need to mention at this point that the loan is available to all commercial banks in Nigeria. Every bank in Nigeria can access the CBN loan. However, not right now, not everybody is. Just maybe, I think 3 to 4 banks are currently actively accessing the CBN funding. Now, in selecting a bank, I would highly recommend that you select a bank that understands your business as opposed to just giving you financing. It's very important that you have a bank or you have an account officer that completely understands the value chain, your challenges, your struggles, so that when you apply for a loan, for instance, it is easier for us to tell you or to decipher when you can, if you can pay back, or if you even need to take that loan, if you need that much money that you're asking for. If there are other ways around it, we can help you also, as well as apart from financing. We can also do some financial advisory because we understand your business. So in Sterling Bank, for example, rather than just say, okay, there's CBN funding, we have a team that just gives out loans when people ask for it, we have gone a step further to divide ourselves into teams. So we have teams that handle each sector in the creative industry. We have a team that handles music, that handles fashion, that handles IT, and that handles movies. I am currently in charge of the team that handles the fashion aspect, but I'm also very well involved in what every other person is doing. What this does is, it's not like we're learning your business for you. What we're learning is the business of it. So it is easier for us to understand your challenges. We take time out to do research and understand your challenges, understand the struggles that you have, and it helps us to properly identify and give loans to people. I was speaking to Mr. Uche earlier today. I actually just got back from Aba, where I had gone to do some research for the shoe leather factories in Aba, and what we one thing that stood out to us was finance was not even a problem for them as much as equipment. What they need more than anything is equipment. So to us now, we would say that rather than just dole out loans to people that want to buy machines, can we do something else that creates sort of like a workshop where people can actually use the machines and they don't have to take a loan and they can still meet their needs? So what we've done in Sterling is take things step further to ensure that we completely understand the value chain and it's easier for us to give loans. So in picking a bank, we will recommend that, I mean, it will be great if you come to Sterling Bank, but we also recommend that even if you don't come to Sterling Bank, you're going to a bank that understands your business and is not just giving you loans to make sure that you are meeting requirements. So in the IT space, for example, we've started to fund students who are learning software development, who want to train for software development. We're funding, and in the funds of it, it's not like we're just giving you school fees. We're putting into consideration the entire space. So for school fees, accommodation, feeding, all of the things that you would need within the period of your training, we are ready to fund that. And so we don't just give out loans based on, oh, this is what this person asked for and they has met the requirements. It's also important that I mention that you don't have to start paying back your loan until 6 months after the loan has been disbursed. So you have a 5 months grace to put together your funds and start to pay back after. From 6 months, now it's from 6 to 24 months. It depends on the business that you're in and what the loan you're taking the loan for. So you don't pay up immediately you take the loan. You have about 5 to 10 months grace to start paying back. So how do you access it for Sterling Bank? All you have to do for us is come into any Sterling Bank branch and ask that you want to apply for a creative fund loan. You fill your application letter and then also give us a business plan. Once we have all of those details, it is easier for us to deal your loan and work with it. So basically, that's everything that it is about the CBN fund. We as a business are ready to work with growing the creative industry because as Sterling, even before the CBN fund was created, we had already gotten interest in the creative space. We've done a couple of projects and partnerships with some film houses and cinema houses, some ITs. In the IT space, we've done quite a number of partnerships as well. So it's something we're already interested in, and the CBN funding just makes it easier for us to do more. And we're looking forward to doing as much as we can with the creative industry and growing it. Hello.
Awesome. You're done? Is that the?
Yes, I am. So I take questions and.
Okay, great. Thank you for that, Onome. You would need to give us a few minutes so that we can take from Mercy. Is that fine? And then we will then take. I'm already seeing hands up, but guys, just write down your questions. Let's take all the things first, and then start asking the questions. Mercy, if you're on, can we take you? Otherwise, we'll start taking questions for Onome. Okay, so I don't think Mercy is on, so let's take the question. So just as an update, some of you may need to type your questions as well. I can read it out in the chat. So Joseph Jabba has a question. So Joseph, can you please go on and ask your question? You are live now. All right, while we're waiting for Joseph to hear us, Yin says, who is eligible for this loan? Is it only for students?
Thank you very much, Ian, for that question. No, actually, it's for everybody in the industry. The only place that we have students is actually the IT space, and that's for people who want to train. But even the schools, the hubs, the actual business owners in the IT space are also eligible for the loan. In the fashion industry, it's business owners. In fact, one of the requirements is that you have at least a 3-year experience in the business space, and that is cumulative of your, for as long as you have worked in that space. So you might not necessarily have run your business for 3 years, but at least you've done something in that space and you have a knowledge of that space for at least 3 years. So it's not just students. The students actually just applies to the IT students.
Okay, Onome, thanks. So I have a question I think I should ask. I'm not sure Japa is ready.
Okay.
Japa, are you ready? Joseph, Japa, are you ready to ask your question? Okay, Onome, how can a hub, I can bet that a lot of the people who have tuned in today are probably hub managers and hub leaders from across mostly the South and Southeast of Nigeria. So my question would be, how can a hub assess this loan?
Pretty easy. It's the same steps. As long as you have your business plan as a hub, you are a registered business, you have an account, maybe you don't even if you don't have an account with Sterling, if you have your financial statements or your management account or your statement for at least the past 12 months, then you're eligible to access the loan. Just walk into a branch and apply. An application letter is very important to be able to apply for the loan.
So what can this loan fund for a hub, for instance, because it wasn't stated in the guideline that was released. So what would the hub be asking to fund using this fund?
You're asking to fund a school of some sort, so again, it's dependent on what the hub wants to do exactly. Are you creating a co-working space for people? Do you want to train people? So all of that is what we need in the business plan. But as long as you have a viable business, we are happy to fund, but your business plan has to clearly state what it is that the hub is trying to achieve. We won't be the ones to say that, but as long as it's in the space, it's for software, we are happy to work around it and work with you.
Oh, thanks. Do you give the IT hubs actual cash or fund equipment purchase, rentals, and services? This is from Ima.
Ultimately, the CBN funding asks that we fund equipment and rental, especially in the other spaces. But for IT, there's a third requirement that we can sponsor, so we can fund your idea as well, apart from just the equipment and the rentals. Now, if we're doing asset financing, which is just your equipment, what we'll do is we're going to pay cash into the vendor's account as opposed to the hub directly. If it's rent, then it can go both ways. But if it's the idea, we'll definitely now have to give cash to the hubs directly. But again, all of that is based on continuous criticism and basically looking at the business plan.
Onome, so has anybody in the IT space assessed this fund? And you don't have to tell us the person's name, but you can give us an idea. It's like giving us a what would I call a sample to be able to help break this down.
Okay. Yes, then we have, right now, I know that there are 2 major companies that we're working with and we've given funds to. For one, what we have done is fund their students. So we fund their students through them. The other one, we fund them directly. And again, it's based on, like I said, it's very relative on the business and the business idea. The one that we fund the students directly, that is what they wanted. They just want training and they want to be able to train as many students as possible. So the students apply through them and so us, and then we fund their students for their school fees. The other one, we fund their business itself, and the hub runs based on the financing that we have given. So yes, we have access to that for the IT space. In fact, we've done more in the IT space than in lots of the other spaces in the industry because we started that even before the CBN funding.
Awesome, because one of the questions I have here was do you give this loan directly to the student or you fund them through a hub or an IT center for training? I mean, that's essentially one of the questions I wanted to ask. I'm sure you've mentioned a bit of it.
Okay.
Yeah,
So, like I said earlier, it depends again. Ideally, we would prefer that for school fees and funding for students, we fund the school directly. But in cases where we can't, we expect and we have to see the bill from the school and then work with that to fund the student. But most times we prefer to fund the students and the school directly on behalf of the student.
Awesome. Now, somebody has a question here from Chidebelo Keke. He says, hello, I have an account with Sterling Bank Savings, and it's a savings account, which I used for my NYC account during my service year. Can I use this account, which is not a corporate account?
No, to access a loan, no. You need a current account to be able to access a loan. So you can't use a savings account. However, because you already have a relationship with us, all we have to do is open a current account for you. So you're not necessarily doing any extra work. We'll just make another account under the same base name, and then we can continue the relationship from there.
Okay, great. Onome, can we pause with the Q&A to take Mercy and then Engineer Meko Nachuku? Let's take their presentations and then get back to all the questions and answers.
No problem.
Thank you very much. So Mercy, if you can hear me, you can go on. So we have the next 5 to 10 minutes to listen to your experience assessing the AGSMEIS, the mother fund for this fund we're discussing today. You've been a beneficiary of this fund. We want to be able to understand what you did and how you assessed it. Mercy, go on. Mercy, can you hear us? Go on. Okay, Mercy needs to check her microphone. While we're walking to get Mercy to sort out her microphone, I can go on and introduce Engineer Meko Nachuku. Engineer Meko Nachuku is the founder of Develop You. Develop You is a business. It's an enterprise development initiative that he founded after serving his tenure as the president of FASIMA, which is Port Harcourt Chamber of Commerce and Industry, Mines and Agriculture. He has loads of experience from IT and then from running multiple organizations, including being at some point a rep of National Electricity Regulatory Commission. He was the rep for the StartupSouth at some point. Just recently, he also works for lots of the banks and is a top consultant with CBN on the mother fund of this particular initiative we're discussing. So he's going to be presenting to us what he's been able to do with Develop You. I don't want to talk a lot, so let's make welcome Engineer Meko Nachuku. Welcome, sir.
Yeah, thank you, Uche. Am I clear? Can you hear me very well?
Very well, very well.
Okay, thank you so much. And the lady from Sterling Bank, my regards. Actually, like you mentioned, Develop You is what the CBN refers to as EDIs. EDIs are Enterprise Development Institutes. So they are the interface between the entrepreneur and the CBN. As you know, it was this facility started with the commercial banks initially, but it didn't go well. So the CBN decided to take it on themselves and now introduce some consultants, which they call EDIs, as intermediaries between them and the entrepreneurs. Well, I would say that so far so good. It's been nice with the entrepreneurs. I don't know how much time you have, but I will just make it real quick. This particular facility goes through almost all the sectors, just as the name implies. You have SME investment scheme. That's why they call it AGSMEIS. So on the SMEs, you have basically almost all the sectors presented in the scheme. It's the best program ever launched for SMEs in this country. Why I'm saying this is that you require no collateral, no guarantors, just to ensure you have a skill. You only requested to attend entrepreneurship training with an EDI, of course, and probably get somebody to introduce you. Of course, you will have an account attached to a company. And after that, you're given a very simple, the only loan that has a one page to fill. You fill your the loan part, you fill your working capital side, and that's about that. Then you submit. I can tell you authoritatively that in the last 2 weeks, 381 beneficiaries has been approved by CBN. If you add it down here in Port Harcourt, we should be having close to 400 beneficiaries. And I can tell you of the truth that my company, Develop You, we have 85% of these beneficiaries.
Awesome. Thank you so much. While Mercy is still trying to sort out her sound, I think that we can start taking the questions again. Somebody is asking, must we have a certificate of training from an EDI to be able to access this fund? I don't know if this is to Engineer Mecca or to Onome.
Yeah, sure. That is for me. It's a core condition, because what is going on is that the CBN is shifting from collateral to capacity. I repeat, the emphasis for entrepreneurs now is no longer collateral, it's capacity. Because in the past, they have discovered that people actually have get collaterals, but they lack capacity to run businesses. So it's the work of the EDIs to ensure that they make you the entrepreneur that will get this loan.
Okay, Onome, are you still on?
Yes, I am.
Okay, great. So this question, I also need you to answer this question. Do you require a certificate of training from an EDI to access this fund, this particular fund we're discussing now as well?
Yeah, so like he had mentioned earlier, it definitely is something that requires. So I had said also that we need a guarantee for, especially for students, we need a guarantee from the school or the hub. So if the certificate helps us, that's like our reliance on the fact that you're capable and you have capacity to pay back.
So what I'm trying to understand, right? The students don't need a certificate to access this ICT loan.
If you're still training, no, you don't. But once you're done, you probably do.
Then the hubs need the certificate to access it.
No.
The hubs don't, and the students don't. But the video, the music, the fashion industry, they need to present a certificate to access this.
No, they don't. They need to present a guarantee from a fashion body or recognized sponsor.
Awesome. I was going to ask you, yes, I noted that when you were presenting an association, which is one of the reasons why we got Mercy on this program, because Mercy run a cooperative. So I was going to ask, what's the place for cooperatives here? Because it looks to me like it's either you're in an association that can give that can guarantee people guarantee your hub, or you come from a cooperative. Is this the case?
So for again, it's very per business is going to differ per business, because, for example, in the fashion industry, I know that cooperatives probably have as much weight as an association will, so that can also hold water. We actually, for example, as I said, in ABA, we've spoken with certain cooperatives in the shoe clusters, and they are willing to guarantee for their market people to access loans. However, in some other spaces, the cooperative might not be as strong, and so all of that is very relative and dependent on the business that is asking for the loan and how much trust we can have in the cooperative that is being presented.
All right, so somebody says, please, I still don't understand. Oh my God, so, okay, so Prince, because he says, please, I still don't understand, how do we assess the loan? Before you delve in, and this is from MCI Shoes. MCI Shoes says, please, I still don't understand, how do we assess the loan? So which means, Onome, you may need to break this down again. But somebody says, is there any EDI center in Abia State? This is Prince Urapa.
Yeah, there
So
should
any
be.
of you, could take this.
There should be definitely an EDI in every state. In every state, there are 3 approved EDIs per state. That's the standard for the country.
Is there a place where we can go find a list of the EDIs?
Yeah, you need to contact the DFO of Central Bank, the DFO, the Divisional Finance Officer of Central Bank in Abia State, the Development Finance Office. Those are the people that run this program. So it's in every state. So if you get to Central Bank, you should ask of the Development Finance Office. They will give you all the information you need.
Oh, thank you. So someone says, I underwent Accelerate Labs business incubation training in Enugu. Is that an EDI?
It's a lot of consultancy firms exist. It's just that the EDIs are the few that are licensed. So I wouldn't say whether that company is one of them, but the name sounds like a company that could render such service.
Okay, I have a question here that says, what does this is from Emesibe Ene. It says, what does a typical tech startup require to access the fund? Onome, this probably should be for you.
Okay, so I was hoping that you all had access to the requirements from CBN, so that would have made this a lot easier. But I can just run through. There is a bit more detailed, but basically, like I said, we need a business plan. We need the application letter. We're going to need a CSC or TIN, BVN, 3-year financial audited statement, or if you don't have that, your management account, your bank statement for at least 12 months if you don't have a relationship with us. There are a couple more things. So yes, okay, we need to be sure that a legal document to show that you are going to own what you're asking for finance for. Yes, those are like basically everything that's required. So almost everything that you would naturally need for a normal loan, only that now you don't have to drop collateral as heavy as landed property. Your equipment can work. A guarantee from an association or a body or recognized sponsor that you belong to also suffices. Yes, so there's a full document which I can possibly share by email to everybody that states the full requirements. There's a list, but it's very flexible.
That's correct. And Bruce, if you have access to the document you shared, you can also upload the document on the chat area for people to download. Bruce, if you can hear me. All right. While we were talking on Mercy KG logged in back. Mercy, I want to believe you're good now. So yeah, let's take your presentation for the next five minutes and then continue with the Q&A.
Okay. Good evening, all. I'll go straight to the lady who just finished the presentation. even though I joined in halfway, so I didn't really hear all the information she gave out. But basically, the loan, as we all know, is for people that are into fashion business, IT, and all that. And the tenor is between 1 to 48 months and also up to 30 months for tier 3. However, one of the requirements, like we all know, is of course, a business plan has to be submitted, a request letter or loan application form, and also a bank resolution, a board resolution for those that are into limited liability company. That's if your business is registered as a limited liability company, you need to get a board resolution. And also you need to have a credit check run on yourself, because if the person in question or the company in question is currently running a loan with another bank, is going to have a little problem with that, because this loan is for people that are credit free. So you can do your credit check yourself. You can run your credit check online through the credit bureau website, run a check on yourself, because we've had issues of people who are not owing banks before apply for loans and their loans are being turned down because they're having 1 or 2 issues with the bank. Some entrepreneurs are aware while others are not aware. It could be a bank charge or a facility that you've paid for, but you haven't closed the loan and it's still reading. For instance, we had someone who offer letter was supposed to be out, but because she had 2,000 naira credit, 2,500 naira, I think, with a Diamond Bank, her credit check was not cleared, so she couldn't access that funding. So it's very important for entrepreneurs to run a credit check themselves. You can do that yourself. Just go to Google and Google credit check and credit bureau, run a credit check on yourself using your BBN to know if you are clear. And of course, receipt of what you want to buy, what you want to use the loan for. If you want to purchase an equipment, you need to get a receipt or an invoice, because they are going to pay the money to the company that's going to supply you those equipment or machinery.
Okay, Mercy, we've lost you. Hi, Mercy. Okay, go on. We lost you for a few seconds. Okay. Mercy, are you still here?
Yes. Yes,
okay,
I can hear you now.
We're losing you.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, then another. Of the company, the promoter needs to be a personality that needs to be endorsed by a notary public lawyer, and then of course all the documents are necessary for this facility, and also a notarized statement of net which the entrepreneur can or can also fill and get it endorsed by
okay, so Mercy, your network has gone really bad.
So
we can barely hear you.
Oh, okay. I'm using my phone.
Probably should turn off your video. Turn off your video so that.
Okay.
Let me stop it for you. Okay, go on. Perhaps we can hear you better now. Just go on. Go on. I've done it for you.
Okay, that's fine. So like I said, a management fee of 1%, the entrepreneur should be able to provide that 1% of the loan, because it means that you have a stake in the business. So it's very important for the entrepreneur to make available this money when his loan has been approved.
Okay, thank you very much, Mercy. Patrick has a question. Patrick, if you can hear me, I'm putting you live now to ask your question.
Okay, good day, everyone. Please, my question is simple this. I want to ask, is there any EDI center in Port Harcourt? If it is, where, how do I access it and maybe contact thereabouts? Thank you.
All right. Engineer Meka's mic is mute, but Engineer Meka runs an EDI. You can unmute your mic, sir.
I'm fine now. Okay.
Yes, you are.
Yeah, Patrick, can you?
Yeah. Mercy, you also run an EDI, I guess.
Yes, I run an EDI, but basically not for CBN, but for Bank of Industry. Because, you know, CBN has audited EDIs, and I'm not one of them.
Okay,
I'm
great.
Not
Hello.
Engineer Meka, you're on.
Hello. Are you there?
We lost you for some seconds. So.
Okay. Are you? Can you hear me now?
Very well.
Okay. So my company is Developing Consulting. We are accredited EDIs for CBN. Our office is at 39 Uyo Street. 39 Uyo Street, off Stadium Road. 39 Uyo Street, off Stadium Road, near the famous Save a Life Hospital.
Thank you, sir. Felix Oguchi,
right,
you have a question. Please go on. All right, Felix, don't worry. I've seen your question. Felix is asking, is the interest rate 9% flat or compound? Mercy, I think, Onome, this probably should be for you.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, yes. It's 9% throughout.
So it's 9% per annum.
Yes.
That I also.
Bruce, Lucas, I'm muting you. Do you have a question?
I hear different people.
Hello, Uche, please, I have a question.
Okay. Okay, go on. Even though you didn't raise your hand.
I'm sorry about that. I was on
Go on with your question.
All right, I wanted to know, is there an accredited EDI in Abia State?
That question has
CBN
been answered. Prince, that question has been answered. Go to the
Sorry,
CBN.
Sorry, I was driving. I didn't know.
All right, good. So go to the CBN office in Abia State. The people responsible, there's a director of, I think it's called
Development Finance Office, DFO.
Development Finance Office. So go there and ask for the list of the EDIs in Abia State, and they will make that available to you. Felix,
thank you very much.
Felix, I don't know if you have another question, because I've asked the question you've asked. I've read it out and it's been answered. Patrick, you have another question, so I'm giving you the channel now.
Okay, thank you very much. Once again, I want to say thank you to Engineer Emeka Onachuku that answered my question about the EDI. Once again, I think the address of this place is 39 Uyo Street. I'll be visiting there on Monday. Now, secondly, my second question is, they said the interest rate is 9% per annum. That means if it's going to run more than 12 months, that means it's going to be 9% on every year. Is that how it should be? That's my question.
No, listen.
You want to provide clarification? Okay, go on, Engineer Meka.
I don't know the loan he's talking about, whether it's the CIFI or AGSMEIS. I don't know the
this webinar is focused on this CIFI.
Okay, so Nome should take that.
Yeah.
Okay. So I need to understand the question well, because I didn't quite guess what he's saying. Per annum actually runs, it doesn't matter the tenure, we divide it by the 12 months. So I'm not sure what his question is exactly.
So I think what he's trying to say is does the interest, or rather, is it dependent on the outstanding principal at any point in time, or it's based on the total principal that was disbursed?
The total principal that was disbursed, but it of course it reduces as you continue to pay down. However, it's still total principal that was disbursed.
Okay. Hello.
Yeah.
That means if I'm going to repay back in the space of 3 years' time.
Yes.
Take for instance. Now that means I'm going to pay 9% of the total sum every year for 3 years. Is that so?
Yes, that's exactly.
So if I took 3 million naira and I'm supposed to pay in 3 years,
Every year I calculated over the tenure of the time of the period that you're taking it for, and then that's the interest you pay every month. Except
okay. So this is like a monthly payback, not necessarily. It's a monthly thing. You pay back on a monthly basis.
So you can either pay back monthly or quarterly. It's also very dependent on the kind of business that you're doing. But you have been allowed to pay back either monthly or quarterly. It's based on your proceeds, your business proceeds.
Okay, sorry. That means
Patrick,
if I'm taking a particular for a given number of years, and peradventure I decide to pay it off before it gets the number of years that I collected. Now, does it still mean that I'm still going to pay as calculated, maybe say 3 years time, and I pay it back under 1 year?
No, in that case, I think it's a calculation done for you, but until then, we'll run the normal process.
Okay, so I have a question here from Wisdom.
Okay.
I have a question here from Wisdom, Arori Sogene. He says, what is the requirement for hubs that want to act as guarantors for students who want to access the software engineering student loan?
When you say requirement, we only need a letter from the hub, a letter of introduction for the students from the hub.
So what he's saying, I think what he's trying to ask is there a special, because anybody can set up a one room somewhere and say it's a hub, and he wants to run a training. So is there a special...
I mentioned a recognized sponsor, so there are certain certifications and documents that we look out for to ensure that it is not just a one-man business somewhere.
So now tell us those documentation. That's part of what we're asking this question. What are some of those documentations you look out for from a hub, for instance, who wants to be able to act as guarantors for students to access the loans?
First of all, it definitely has to be a registered business. The business itself must have run for at least 3 years. And then it must be recognized in the field of the industry that it's being applied for. Also, we'll look at the documentation, the statement for the hub as well, to be sure that it is a viable business and it is in the right position to guarantee for somebody. And then as well, we'll look at the credit check, be sure that the business has not guaranteed for several people that have defaulted. Those are some of the things that we'll look at. There are several other things that we'll look at, but those are like the major issues that we have to first settle before we agree on using the hub as a guarantor.
All right, thank you. Akinleye Prince has a question. Prince, but I don't see a mic on your stuff, so how are you going to ask your question?
Hello, Mr. Chair.
Okay, Felix, go on.
All right, thank you very much. Somebody just jumped right in. Okay, I have a question for the students, because I read through the document and I saw that for the student loan, the software loan, the security arrangement includes a university degree and an NYSC certificate. Please, I would like clarity on that. How is a student supposed to have a university degree and an NYSC certificate being a student? That's one. Hello.
Should I go ahead or you want to ask the second question?
Okay, the second question is from the information technology track. There is a security arrangement. I'm still a bit lost on the mortgage debenture and then the lieu on stock of the trade and item or equipment. I was needing a little clarity on those two. Thank you.
Okay, so for the first question, ultimately, most times the students are really postgraduate students who have gone through school and are now having a second degree or training for further education. I hope that answers your question.
Hold on, Onome, let me clear this, right? So the students we're talking about who can access the loan for the IT must have had a first degree and looking to do something extra, is that?
Yes.
So it's not
So
open to, it's not open, hold on, Felix. So it's not open to students who are still in school but willing to learn to code.
It is
or
only
that
open
are out of school.
It is only open to them if the school or the training center is willing to take is willing to guarantee and take fall for it.
All right.
So invariably, if you are a graduate, you finish your NYSC and you're attached to maybe a hub or something, you can also apply as a student.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, postgraduate student in that case.
All right. Thank you. I'm not sure we have. Is this loan available to people that got accepted for 3 years software engineering training in Europe? This is from Christian in DBC.
Yes, the student loan is available. So in this case, we will not credit the school directly. Obviously, what we will do is expect your school fees, an invoice from your school, and we will put in together everything, your accommodation, your feeding, and all of that, put into consideration all of that, and then give the loan. So yes, it is available for international students as well.
Okay, Onome, can I ask you this question that I think is important? For training centers, do you think that the ability to guarantee job placement for the student is a major positive factor for approving these loans for the training center?
That's a tricky question, and it's relative. I don't think that is a blanket question answer to that, because we first of all need to understand how you can guarantee job placement. In that case, what kind of job, and if the job is enough to pay back, the kind of loan that this person is accessing. It is an added advantage. I will not deny that, but it's something that we have to look at individually.
Okay, so obviously it's not something you're looking out for.
It is an added advantage, but it's not a blanket prerequisite.
All right. So I think if there's no other question, we will start rounding up this. I think everybody is satisfied so far.
Oneme didn't take my second question. Oneme didn't take my second question. I don't know.
What was the second question, please? What was the second question, please?
Yeah, my second question was on the security arrangement for information technology, on the mortgage debenture, the lien on stock of trade and item of equipment. A little bit clarity on that will do.
Onome, do you get it? Hi, Onome. Okay, so I think Onome is off the network. So can we get we can round up this now.
Okay. Uche, are you there?
Yes, I am.
Okay, I just want to give a little information to some of the people who are still on. I want to let them know that this particular scheme, the CIFI, some of the sectors covered here are also covered in some other schemes. There are facilities under the Bank of Industry scheme that are covered by it that they can also access without physical collaterals, which is with just guarantees, as long as they're not exceeding 10 million. I think except music, The rest, the fashion, IT, and part of the movie are also covered by both the AGSMEIS scheme and some other schemes under the Bank of Industry. So they can actually try to also access these funds from these other schemes outside the CIFI. That's what I want to add.
Awesome. Awesome. So what you're saying is that this similar stuff is also available in the Bank of Industry.
Yes. Some of the, like the fashion, IT, and movie. For instance, from my EDI, I have somebody in the movie industry that got 4.5 million to buy cameras and all that for movie production. It's a beneficiary. I have a beneficiary from my EDI right now.
Thank you. Patrick, you have a question. Can we hear your question?
Okay, thank you very much. My question goes to Engineer Emeka Onachukwu with what he just said now. I want to know, sir, what does it take to get the certificate? What's the duration of the training? What's involved to get the particular certificate the EDI is offering?
Well, it's a basic entrepreneurship certificate. If you're not busy, we can get it in 1 week. The way the course is planned, it takes into consideration a lot of people that are quite busy. So because it runs even at a stretch of 2 or 3 weeks. So you can finish in 1 week, you can finish in 2 weeks, you can finish in 3 weeks. This depends on how your disposition. Hello.
Awesome. Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
It's time for us to round up this now. I don't think there's any other question. I'd like to thank you, Engineer Emeka, for coming on this. And I'd like to thank Onome for coming on this as well. I'd like to thank Mercy for coming on this. I'd like to thank the team at Olotu Square for coming on this, for partnering with us to make this happen. We hope to be able to do more of this type of webinar. And we're going to make this webinar available. We're going to make it available online, maybe on our YouTube account, on StartupSouth YouTube account. So perhaps you can follow StartupSouth NG to be able to know when the link is posted. So thank you everybody for tuning in. Bruce, thank you for joining and for making this happen. I'm grateful to everybody that tuned in. Let's do this some more. Thank you so much, Engineer Emeka Onachukwu.
Thank you, Uche. Hope to see you in Uyo soon.
Yeah, I hope to see all of you in Uyo.
All right.
Is the need for an association or cooperative, apart from the EDIs, this particular CIFI initiative, you can also be guaranteed by an association. And then this association also includes cooperatives. And Engineer Emeka Onachukwu is a heavy advocate for cooperatives. And I think we should explore. I think we should explore a lot of the opportunities that lie in the cooperative space. And so Engineer Emeka is going to be speaking in a session that talks about cooperatives. So I think you should all look out for that and look out for him as well at StartupSouth 5 for you.
Yeah.
Goodbye to everyone.
Hi, see you there. Bye.